Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me get rid of that. Pull this open. Hello, welcome. How are you guys doing today? Today we're going to talk about day 2 of Copy Hour. I want to run through a couple things very quickly. I know there's a little bit of confusion, so you should have your second assignment by now. If you don't have your second assignment, that probably means that you signed up a little bit late. At least not like signing up for the course, but signing up for the email assignments. We're working through those. I'm going to try and figure out who's stuck on just number 1, and we'll send over those emails. But you should, at this point, you should have number 2. And the autoresponder might take a day to kick in. Just be communicative with support at copyhour.com, and we can figure this all out for you guys. Okay, so where people are asking where to post their assignments. For now, what we're going to do, and if you go into the group, you'll see that Suzanne here put together a little tutorial where you can take a look at everything. So check that out. And then also, just this is where you want to post your handwriting assignments. Go to more, and I don't know if you're on mobile, if it'll be different. Go to more, go to events, and then past events. And you can go all the way down. It might take you a little bit. Go all the way down to week 1. And then when you go inside the event, you should be able to find the thread for each particular day. So then you would just go here, comment, and that's where you'd want to share your notes. Okay, that'll be the cleanest way to do it. Again, this might all change very soon, but for now, that's the best way to post up your assignments, quick and easy, hopefully, and you can post them in there. Okay, so that's that kind of minor housekeeping detail there. The next thing that we want to talk about, we want to talk a little bit about research. So again, if you have not logged into the members area, hopefully the new members area, go in there and there's a video on what to do if you don't have a product or service to sell right now. That's really important that you use that. Hi, Steve. Excited to have everybody here. This is awesome. So go in there and you can check that video out. The next thing that we want to start talking about is just the research process in general. So let's just jump right in and start talking about a concept called market sophistication. So at the very beginning of Copy Hour, or I told you right at the start, that we have 4 sections of our sales message. And actually, I'm going to pull up this for now. We have 4 sections of our sales message. We've got our lead to start things off. Then we've got our sales argument, optionally. Probably gonna have a sales argument though. Sales argument. Then you're going to have your offer, and then you're going to have your close. All right, 4 sections of a successful sales message. All right, the first section of that is called the lead, and we're going to talk a lot about the lead. The lead is just an amazing tool that you can use to make sense of it all and to make sense of how you're starting a sales message. And we'll talk about the lead that's on International Living today. So the lead, this chart here that I have is for helping you make a decision on the type of lead that you might try first. It's always guessing. It's always trying something first, because 8 times out of 10, you're going to be wrong. 8 times out of 10, you should have gone indirect versus more direct. 8 times out of 10, you just pick the wrong one. It's just how it goes. So this is just a tool to make a guess about how you're going to start your sales message. Okay, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because it can get confusing, especially, I mean, everything makes a lot more sense the second, third, fourth, fifth time around. But I want to introduce you to this concept of market sophistication, and that's what's up here in purple. And just know that these two things are separate. These two things are separate tools. You're either going to say, I'm going to use market sophistication, or I'm going to use awareness levels. And we'll talk about all of this as we go along. This chart will make a ton more sense the further we get into it. But with market sophistication, we're really just getting started with the research process where we're focusing our brain. So if we decide that we're in market sophistication stage 1, then I know that I need to be looking for promises. I need to be looking at my offer and looking at the features and benefits of my offer. If we're in market sophistication stage 2, I know in my brain that I need to be looking at how I'm bigger, faster, and stronger. How do I solve the problem in a different way? Also, maybe how I can turn things into a secret. Once we get into these stages, 3, 4, and 5, where there's a ton of competition, then I need to start looking for stories. I need to start looking for secrets. I need to start looking for bold claims that I can make. So that's why I'm introducing you to market sophistication early, because when you're going through your research process, you want to start focusing your brain on these particular things, on stories, on proclamations, which you don't even know what these terms mean, but that's why it's easier the second time you go through. But you just want to start focusing on maybe how am I going to approach this problem in an indirect way versus if I have a brand new product, I can kind of just focus on my product and say, hey, here it is. You've been waiting for this. Okay, so now let's look at what market sophistication actually is. And I just want you to know that you're going to be making a guess. And the way that I'm going to describe this is there are 5 stages, and this was set by Eugene Schwartz. Eugene Schwartz came up with this. This cartoon was made by Owen Ryan, who's an awesome dude, really funny guy. And this is a comic that he made for me. There are really just 3 stages of market sophistication that I want you to pay attention to. 1, stage 2, and stages 3 through 5. When you are in stage 1 of market sophistication, this just means that you are the very first person to sell something, to sell that particular type of product. So you are the very first and only. If you cannot find a single competitor that's selling the exact same type of product as you, you are first to market. If you think you are in this stage, you need to post to the group and we need to talk about it, because there's not going to be a lot of us that are very first to market. First to market stuff is like when Apple came out with the iPhone, they were the first people to come out with a phone that was also kind of a computer at the same time. They probably weren't even like the first, but they were the first mentally, like for people. They were the first that the market had heard about. And it's all kind of about the market when we're talking about market sophistication. It's like, what has the market heard before? What has the market seen before? Okay. And it's not so much about themselves and their problem, but more just what kind of claims have they seen before? What kind of promises? What kind of benefits? What have they seen? What have other marketers said to them? So there's not a lot of us that are going to be first to market. Okay. Now, stage 2 is when you have competition. So this is, think about the early stages of all the like the Bird scooter and any of the different types of scooters that were around, or think about Uber and Lyft when they were first out there and there was no other options. Uber and Lyft is probably a pretty good one for now. Yes, people knew what a taxi cab was, but people didn't really know. So Uber could have been in this stage before. They could have been first to market before Lyft came in. So when Lyft wasn't a thing, Uber was the first one. Yeah, there's the taxi cabs, right, that they're kind of competing with. But they were the first ones that was a simple app, and it was driven by normal people with normal cars. It wasn't driven by an actual cab company. So they could be considered first to market there. And this is where it can get really tricky, which is why if you think you're in first to market, I always caution you that you might not be. So now that there's competition, this is stage 2. So there are people that are competitors that are coming into the marketplace, you have competition, and this is when your brain in the research process needs to start focusing on how am I bigger, faster, stronger? How am I bigger, faster, stronger at solving the problem for the competitor, or sorry, for the customer? So how are we bigger, faster, and stronger than our competition? Those are the type of things that you want to start thinking about. So here we have in the comic, this is our rock is the biggest. Okay. So at first it was like, hey, here's a rock. Now it's like, hey, here's our rock. This is the biggest rock that's available. Or it could be the sharpest that's available. What is that bigger, faster, stronger thing that you have than your competition? This is commonly referred to as the USP. What is your unique selling proposition? What is that thing that you do different from the competition? And when we're talking about competition, I really want you to focus on competition. How are you different, better, faster, stronger than competitors? If there are no competitors to point to, maybe you're in stage one. Maybe you're in stage one. Or if there's like no singular or just like two competitors to point to, then you might be in a super crowded marketplace as well. And that's stages 3, 4, and 5. When you're in stages 3, 4, and 5, there are a ton of different companies selling similar products to you. And there's just the marketplace has heard so many claims about how to solve their problem. It's a crowded space with a lot of different people that are kind of coming in. And so in this case, we need to start thinking even deeper about how we're different, or what makes our product unique. What's the unique mechanism behind the product, which we'll talk about. And you kind of need to drill in and start looking for stories, start turning your product into a secret of some sort, or an ingredient in your product into a secret of some sort. And we don't really need to go much deeper in here, but know that the last stage of this is like stuff where you are doing heavy branding, where it's heavy branding, lifestyle focus. Like car companies, they're selling the lifestyle. They're not necessarily selling the car in a lot of cases. If you're in an extremely crowded marketplace, this is kind of where you might be, or where you kind of need to head. So another thing I must mention with market sophistication, again, we're only focusing for now on the first 3 stages of it, because we just want to know, are you in 1, 2, or 3, right? Are you first? Do you have just a tiny bit of competition, or are you in a crowded marketplace? First, figure that out, and then from there, we're going to use that information in our research process to know whether or not we should be just focused on our product and the features and benefits, or if we should be focused on how we're different, and that's basically it. Okay, and know also, this is really important. It's a campaign to campaign basis. If you are writing the homepage of your website, that's one market sophistication level. If you are writing a sales page for a product, that is another market sophistication level. You start this process over. It's on a campaign to campaign basis. Could be an email sequence, or maybe it's just one email. The next email has a different market sophistication level because you're selling something different. So it's one. Don't try to do your homepage, your sales page, all your emails fitting into one market sophistication level. Just pick one. So are you writing the homepage? Great, we're just writing the homepage. What's the market sophistication for that? Are you writing a sales page for a supplement? Great, stick to that supplement. That's the only thing that we're focused on for the purposes of CopyHour, going through this first time in the research process, okay? Campaign to campaign basis. And again, stuff like this is just a tool to make a guess about how you're going to start your sales message, which is your lead. So these are lead types down here, and up here, market sophistication is just a tool. There's also another tool, separate tool, that's called awareness levels, which you can use this for as well. Okay, are there any questions about market sophistication level? So do you guys think that you have a market sophistication, a guess on a market sophistication level? So for the folks that are here live, just go ahead and let me know if there's anything anything you're thinking about. How do I go back? I was just going to see if anybody had posted anything here. All right, Eris. Handwriting. What's the product? Life Aid Drinks physical product. Okay. Does your product exist? Yes. What's your market sophistication? Um, what does Life Aid do? Like, what is a Life Aid drink? I'm just going to take a look real quick. This might be instructive. All right. Let me pull this up here. All right. So this even just right up off the bat is like telling me that we're in a crowded marketplace where lifestyle is going to be important. Just looking, girls in a pool, probably lifestyle. I don't know if this is actually the company that you're talking about, but if we're talking about like a vitamin drink, okay, this is a really great example of how tricky market sophistication can be. Say you have a drink, a like a whatever this is. This is a great formula. What is it? A new delicious taste. This is like it's an energy drink kind of, I guess. I mean, let's see here. What are they saying? Athletic recovery. So this is like, okay, it's essential vitamins. All right, this is interesting. So here's the tricky part about this. This is like, so if it has BCAAs, this is like an athletic drink, right? An athletic recovery, fit aid. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Are you competing with other energy drinks and other sodas and other non-alcoholic beverages like this? I think you are. But you could say we are the first energy drink or the first one of these type of drinks to have BCAAs in it, specifically designed for athletic recovery. You could say that. You could definitely go with that. So the problem here that we run into is that like maybe you are the very first athletic drink that is doing this. Although for me, in my mind, I think you're competing with just regular supplements in general. You're competing with all the other beverages that are in this place. So for me, it kind of seems like you're bordering on very crowded. But maybe you know something different. Maybe to you, it's more like we are the first ones to be doing this, and people have been waiting for this. We're the first ones that like have athletic recovery drinks. So you could fall into here. So this is where it gets really tricky because I don't know the answer. You might have a guess, but you don't really know until you actually talk to people and put something out there. So this is one of those ones that could go either way. That could go either way. So for the campaign, it's going to depend. For the campaign, it's going to depend. If you're doing an ad campaign that's like on, say, Instagram or something, in that case, you probably want to try both. Where it's like you could say up front, like we're the first athletic beverage or the first beverage with BCAAs or whatever it might be, like the most attractive thing for people, and that would be enough. That also, like that kind of verbiage, and see, this is where it gets really tricky. That kind of verbiage could also kind of make sense in this marketplace where it's like, yeah, we have a drink just like everybody else, but ours is the first to do this, the first to do this. So you can see how it gets really, really confusing, and why I always say, just make a guess. Just make a guess. So let me see. Not sure. Okay, so here we need to figure out exactly what our medium will be as well, because this will help dictate kind of what we're going to do as well. So like the medium also comes into play as well. If you are sending to just a customer list of people, and this is the first time that you're launching this new product to them, then it might make more sense. Like, so if it's to your customer list, it might make sense because they're most aware. You might think awareness level is going to outweigh everything else. It's going to outweigh market sophistication. And because I'm sending it to my customers, so I'm going to go with a direct lead. And when I say direct, I mean you say right up front, I'm selling you something, and making promises to people. Okay, so it's tricky. It's for surely tricky. All right, so the different stages 1 through 5 you mentioned match up with the awareness levels on your chart. I'm familiar with the awareness stages, but not with 1 through 5. So again, this is just a tool. My tool, this tool here that we have, can be broken for sure. For sure, it can be broken. Again, there are no rules in copy, only conversions. This is just a loose tool to make a guess. So sometimes they fit, right? Like if you're in stage 1, it makes most sense to go direct, which is what you do when you're in most aware for awareness levels. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here. If you're in stage 2, it makes sense to go a little bit direct still, and you could even focus on a problem solution where you are bigger, faster, or stronger. And basically, when you hit these later stages of market sophistication, you do want to go a little bit more indirect. So they do kind of match up, but there are cases where they 100% break each other. And that's like, I need to separate these charts or something. Like, these are 2 separate tools. You decide which one is more important. If I'm writing to a customer list about a product that's in stage, like a super crowded product, like, all right, let's take me, for example, with the CopyHour business, which you are experiencing right now. If I have a product like that one that I recently created last year called Daily Email Income, which is basically another email marketing course, how to do email marketing, my take on email marketing. Which market sophistication level are we probably in? Stages 3, 4, and 5. There are so many other. There are 5 CopyHour graduates that have email copy courses at this point. It is a crowded marketplace, right? But if I'm launching to my email list of customers, I might be able to just talk to them directly and say, hey, I've got a new email marketing course, because those people are aware of me. They're aware of that type of product. They're aware of the solutions that it provides. They're aware of their problem. So for me, the awareness level might make more sense to focus on than the market sophistication. So you have to decide between the 2 which one you think makes the most sense. Okay, so for a product like this, you really, because I don't know the market, because I don't know the people, it would be a full-on guess for me about what people have heard about. Like for me, I've obviously heard of energy drinks. I know there's all these different vitamin drinks and vitamin water. So for me, this one probably, I would think you'd want to focus a little bit more, like not necessarily indirectly, but just focus a little bit more on how you're different. So maybe even like market sophistication almost doesn't even make sense. So you'd want to focus like a little bit more on how we're different, how we're bigger, faster, stronger. Maybe they're the cleanest. They don't have sugar. They just taste good. So that's the tricky part about all this. Okay, so that's why I always say, just make a guess. Just make a guess, because you might not be right. And really what you can do is say, all right, if I'm just making a guess, I'm going to err to the right of this chart. I'm going to assume that people know less about me and my type of product and their problem than I originally anticipated. And I'm going to go a little bit more to the right. Okay. So zero sugar. Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. We could argue back and forth on this. All right, let's see. Don't need any of that. Okay. So, are there any questions? Actually, I think maybe we needed to keep going here. All right, Rebecca, I got to that one. Thank you, Suzanne. All right, looks like you guys got a little cohort going. That's great. Okay. Yeah, it looks like we're a little all over the place. So we need to kind of figure out how we can get this a little bit more tight here, but it's okay. Product or service, service apartment or hotel, service apartment. Second-ish, maybe it is trying to differentiate itself from surrounding amenities. Email marketing, it feels like. What is a service apartment? Can anybody tell me what a service apartment is? So the hotel is an interesting one, right? If we're talking about a hotel, there's a really great book that you guys can read or should read if you want to read it. It's called 0 to 1. 0 to 1. It's by Peter Thiel. I don't know how you feel about Peter Thiel. He's one of the founders of Facebook, or sorry, one of the founders of PayPal, a billionaire at this point. So he wrote a book called 0 to 1, and there's a really great example in that book of competition. And it's about a restaurant. So if you're a restaurant and let's say you're in a business park and you're going to open up a lunch spot, you notice that there are no other Chinese restaurants in the business park. So you open up a Chinese restaurant and say, look, I'm first to market. We are the only Chinese restaurant here. That might work. However, your market sophistication is actually, you're competing with every other lunch spot in that area. So if there are 5 or 6 other restaurants that are serving lunch, you're actually competing against those places for lunch, right? Like in the beginning, it might make sense to say, hey, we're the only Chinese restaurant in this business park. That might get some people in the door a little bit, but over time, what's going to happen is that people start looking at all the other restaurants. They might look at all the other features. Is there better ambiance? Are there better prices? Is it a cheaper lunch? Is it a healthier lunch? You're going to start competing with all the other places over here. So when we're talking about a hotel, it's kind of a similar concept where what does your hotel provide against all the other hotels in that particular area? What is the uniqueness of that hotel is probably going to be one of them. Or is it cheaper and higher quality, or is it like high quality at a lower price than the surrounding hotels? Does it have better ambiance? Is it more swanky? And I mean, in a lot of cases with a hotel too, is you're just going to be selling lifestyle, right? It's like a lifestyle look or feel to it, unless you don't have any of that, and then you have to sell what you've got. And if you're selling what you've got, there's got to be something that's different, unique. Is it the oldest hotel in the area, the most historic? Is it the cheapest? Like, what is that differentiating factor that you can point to and kind of harp on one of your biggest benefits that you're going to point to in your campaign, in your email marketing campaign. Okay. So the most convenient, you can get to all the things the fastest, you can get to the beach the fastest. You need to start thinking about all those different things. Okay. Any other questions about market sophistication? I'm happy to talk through these things with you guys too. Like if there's one, or if you posted it somewhere else and I'm not getting to it, please let me know. But I'm happy to talk through these things and help you guys out. So this is the International Living, very famous ad. Not really an ad, sales page, sales letter. So basically the product that's being sold here is a subscription, and you're going to get this report when you sign up for the subscription or sign up for the magazine, right? So this first thing to pay attention to, business models. It's even important to study this stuff when you are just a freelance copywriter, because a lot of the direct response companies, this is how they're going to operate. They have a subscription product underneath that's actually being sold, and there's a free report that's being given away in order to get people in the door into the subscription. This is huge in the financial space. This is huge in direct response marketing, just in general. You have some sort of free or bonus that you are selling, but the product that they're actually signing up for is the newsletter, the magazine, the underlying kind of subscription product. Okay? That's the first thing to pay attention to. The second part to pay attention to in this particular ad, or sorry, sales letter, is this right here. How to retire in paradise on $55 a day. This particular headline, if you want to call it, or sentence, could have been our headline here, right? Could have been our headline. How to retire in paradise on $55 a day. Definitely could be a headline, definitely be something that you would think you've seen before. You've seen promises like that before. So the copywriter here, Bill Bonner, had a choice, and this probably just came about by a test. But now we've spruced it up. We have something more interesting. We have a story to start, right? This is a story headline, story beginning, on top of a kind of a promise lead, right? I'd like to send you a free copy of a unique and valuable report. It's called How to Retire. So the predominant feeling here when you get deeper into this message is that of a promise, right? You are going to get this free report, kind of coming back again and again. Also talking about the magazine, we're direct here because we are saying, I'm going to give you this free report, right? And here's a little bit more about this free report. So that's the second thing to pay attention to. But why not do the headline and the story? It probably came down to a test. I'm not sure exactly. There's no, I don't have the answer for that. But here, this story is, I mean, at this point, this is a legendary story. But this story is just nice. It paints a very clear picture, and it does still have a promise in here, right? But this paradise is real and affordable. In fact, it costs only half as much to live this dream lifestyle as it would to stay in your own home. So here's how this works. And I want to explain this well. If you have somebody that comes to this page and it says, how to retire in paradise on $55 a day. If that person is not looking for a book or a report, if that person is not looking to retire to somewhere else, although, I mean, a lot of people will be, if that dollar amount seems like too ridiculous, $55 a day seems like way too little for them, they are more likely to click away. If they are not feeling kind of in the mood to read something that's sales related, How to Retire in Paradise on $55 a day, I'm going to give you this free report. that's going to turn that person away. And it kind of comes down to our awareness levels here. If that person is kind of unaware or even problem aware, which a lot of people in this space are, they don't know about the specific locations. They don't know exactly how to do it. They don't even really have maybe they have a problem, which is like they just like kind of are bored and want to move abroad. I think it's just like a boredom product, to be honest. I don't know how many people actually go do this. I'd love to know the stats on it. So when you hit them with something that's direct, like how to retire in paradise on $55 a day, I'm going to give you this free report. The people that are over here are going to be a little turned off by it, right? They're going to be a little turned off by, well, I'm not really interested in learning about $55 a day. That sounds ridiculous. So I'm gonna turn away. But if you start it with a story, you're going to get these people interested. Oh, well, this is cool. That sounds amazing. That sounds lovely. And then they get hit with that promise of retiring for $55 a day. It's a little bit more well received. For these particular people, I think these people just need they need the picture to be painted for them before you hit them with the promise. Not every marketplace is going to be like that, but it is just a good test to have. So the way that I break down this piece of copy is it's a story headline on top of a promise lead. So this is a promise lead, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, so I'm going to kind of stop right there. But just know that the copywriter had the option here to go with how to retire in paradise on $55 a day right up front, or the option to throw in this story to get people into it. And that is a definite test that you could have. It's like, let's start with this story versus start with this headline and kind of see what happens. So, I mean, this thing's been running forever. So at this point, I think the story is winning because Agora does a ton of tests, and for surely they're testing this, and it's been running forever. So nothing has beaten this story, this story headline, essentially. Okay. A couple other things that are interesting to take away from this. If you have a simple product, something that's simple like a book that people can understand, sometimes what you can do is just say, hey, here's this brand new book that's going to teach you XYZ or solve your problem in ABC way. Then I'm going to just jump into the bullets. So this one kind of goes into kind of teasing you a little bit, secret-esque, where you're kind of teasing about where this place is. They don't really tell you exactly where it is. And then from here, then we jump into some of our features and benefits of our product housed in these bullets, right? These are bullets, and bullets is just a formatting thing. So then we start jumping into the bullets of what's included in our particular product. So it's perfectly acceptable. What I'm getting at, it's perfectly acceptable to have a sales page that just says, here's this brand new book. It's going to help you do X, Y, Z. Now let's jump into the features and benefits. Here's what you're going to learn inside this book. That is a perfectly acceptable way to format, to structure a sales page for a book, for an easy to understand product. Okay, so that's where I want to stop for today on this particular ad. Hopefully you guys were able to take a look. And I can take any final questions that people have here before I jump off. I'm going to be doing these videos a little bit differently moving forward. I think what I want to do is do kind of like a roundup video, one per week, and then you can accumulate all your questions, and we can kind of do it that way. But yeah. and like YouTube will be a place where I just make a little bit more content, kind of free content, and then we'll have like a customer only thing. Yeah, I can share those two things. All in the Facebook group. I'll put them down below this video that you're watching right now in the Facebook group. And that's it. That's it for today. No other questions. Hopefully you guys at least got to hand copy the story here to start. And that's it. All right, I'm going to jump off. I'll be back again very shortly. Again, kind of a few, moving parts here as I figure out exactly how I want to host all this stuff and get you guys the content you need and want and everything else. Oh, have you ever gotten destroyed by a client at the start of your career because they weren't happy with the product? So, my career is interesting. It's like I always struggle with this, just to let you guys in on this. And I've written about this quite a bit, but I always struggle with this because I don't view myself as a copywriter. I view myself as a marketing consultant. It's what brought me to copywriting. I started a publishing company with a buddy, and we were publishing kind of products that we viewed to be kind of counterculture, solving problems in a different way, dangerous publishing. And so we started taking on different clients, and I was writing the majority of the copy for those clients, and that's what brought me ultimately to copywriting. So I was like, oh, this is really fun and interesting, and I'm really I like doing this. So that's what ultimately led me to start CopyHour way back in the way back. But I didn't have, there were a couple clients that we had. There was a yoga instructor who's kind of a yoga master, where it was just a horrible scenario where I was dealing with his wife, who kind of ran the marketing. And so every time I would write something, she would tear it apart, or they wouldn't use it, or she would be emailing me all hours of the night, that type of thing. But there's no real situation, because of the fact that I came to it from a marketing consulting standpoint, where I was the expert. There's nowhere where I really got torn apart. It was more just like people not using my stuff. The one of them, there's this actor that I worked with for a really long time who had a business of acting course. And we had a webinar that I wrote. I wrote the webinar, and I wrote all the ads and the landing pages and everything. And we were getting insanely cheap leads. Like, it's embarrassing how cheap the leads were. Like 15-cent leads for quality people. And we were closing 20% of the people on the webinar. 20% of the people that would watch the webinar would join. And it was a course. And we decided, or he decided, that he didn't want to spend more than $100 on these webinars. And was like, dude, we got to scale this thing to the moon. And it was, we were making 10x what we were spending in ads, and he just decided to shut it off. So those type of things, those are difficult client scenarios, but I haven't had too many scenarios where I've just been ripped apart. It really takes a good mindset in order to seek that stuff out. So Max, if you're looking to get torn apart on your copy and everything, there are people and places that you can go to do that. There's a couple recommendations. Austin and Ning are CopyHour coaches, and these are two guys that are working in the trenches right now as freelance copywriters. And Ning is actually the copy chief at Paleo Hacks. So if you want some more information on working with those two guys, you can go ahead and let me know. And then there's also Lucas Rashevsky, who I promote every once in a while, who's a really good coach. Shiv Shetty is a very good coach. So if you need any recommendations on a coach that potentially might tear you apart, which is, takes a certain type of person to want that type of instruction, just go ahead and let me know and I can kind of connect you. Okay, well, I'm going to jump off and I will be back again very soon. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And I will see you